Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Comic Source. I suppose it's a collaboration with Comic Boom as well. Woo! Because Rocky is here with me. We're laying in bed. It's Sunday night, and we're exhausted. That is the nature of San Deigo Comic Con. But we wanted to just chat a little bit about the show, give you guys some behind the scenes of what it was like. Hope you all were following Comic Source on social media, live tweeting of panels, what have you. Yeah, it was a really great time. So, from my perspective, the San Diego, as it compares to others, yeah, it was really solid. It was really fun. Definitely not my peak show in terms of content and interviews, but yeah, an absolute blast. But more importantly, let's get Rocky's opinion of San Deigo Comic Con. Did it live up to the hype? And you know, I remember telling you, yeah, once you go once, you want to go every year. So yeah, how was the show, man?
I absolutely loved it. You've asked me this before over the course of these last 4 days after various experiences, and I have to say that one of the things that stands out is that I can now finally understand and appreciate other comments I've heard before. You know, there's a hell of a lot of lineups. There's a lot of lineups, but the show's so damn big. There's so much to see, so much to do, and yeah, there's a lot of lineups. There's more lineups than other shows. So I've been to Edmonton Comic Con, I've been to Calgary Expo Comic Con, I've been to New York, and I do think that in San Diego here there's more lineups, and it was more difficult to. There were probably longer waits, but I basically got what I wanted. There was a couple things I didn't get, but I did a lot of I did a lot of shopping. I enjoyed the city of San Diego. I love the people here. But to answer your question more directly about the show, there really is something special about it. It is. Are there things that is it easier to see creators and get signatures at other shows that like Calgary, for example? Yes, but there is something special about San Diego. I mean, it's just so special. It's so efficient here. The sunshine. I mean, the weather was perfect. I mean, by perfect I mean hot, and there's something about everyone's happy. And I know we'll talk more about it, but I got to give my thanks to you, Jace. You were a fantastic sort of host. My friend Steve came down, came with me as well, and I mean all the stuff we did, and because frankly because of you and your relationship with many of the insiders and a lot of the artists, you introduced us to a lot of people we didn't know. That was really the highlight, and I think that. Steve and I feel particularly grateful because we wouldn't have had the experience if not for your connections, and you know so many people, and to be able to what Steve was saying earlier, and Steve and I were talking about it. He was saying, and he made a good point that he really sees the other side. He has a different appreciation of comic book creators now. Just how you know, sort of like the. Just how passionate they are, but also there's a couple of creators, a couple of people that we knew who had actually had a rough week. Well, I certainly won't drop names, but there's some creators who've had a tough year, and they talk about it, but they have support. And other creators, met a couple that lost their jobs and they're looking for work, but they're here and they get so much for support. Everyone's so supportive of each other in this industry, and you really saw it, especially with the after parties and everything else. And so that's what I really, really enjoyed the most, is the people, because I love meeting the people. Because like you said, you and I, it's the second time we physically, you know, I was at your place last year with Phoenix, in Phoenix, and now with San Diego. There's something about just meeting people face to face and I guess networking, and also finally, I mean, there's more. We'll keep talking, of course, but you work your ass off, my friend. You work your butt off. I mean, for those listening, let me just say that Jace is a diehard. He's absolutely passionate. You're so passionate about what you do, and you're running around at times. I know that you're frustrated, but you maintain a sense of decorum and diplomacy, despite being extremely frustrated at times. But you clearly love your work, because man, you're constantly doing interviews. Even though some interviews never took place, you had to change your schedule. You have to change things up. You're going from panel to panel. It's impressive watching you work, and then of course still have time to be a great host to us. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've been told that before, man. It's like I'm always, even when I'm not, working, I'm working. Even when it's somebody that I'm not necessarily gonna have a chance to talk to here at the show. I'm setting it up for later. I'm setting up for after. I'm following up. The guys at Ignition Press, very perfect example. I was supposed to chat with them. It didn't work out, but we're setting it up for next week or the following week, and have an even longer conversation. I did cover their panel, so it's fantastic. But let's do a little kind of a day-by-day recap. I guess that's the best way to structure it. I got in super early on Tuesday, like 8 a.m., between 8 and 9 a.m., because I drove overnight. The reason I did that, having an EV, I don't have to wait at the charging stations if I'm driving, overnight. Also, it's just more efficient charging the battery and using the battery. And I thought I was going to be able to get in my room around noon on Tuesday, so I didn't think it was too bad, but it ended up that I couldn't get in till like 8 p.m. So I ended up sort of just hanging out in the lobby of my hotel until I was able to finally get in the room. So that was challenging, I guess we'll say. But yeah, so I ended up being up for like 40 hours straight. So I finally got here, got into my room, and then I didn't go to sleep. I wanted to, because I knew that was mess with my schedule too much if I went to sleep then. So I ended up just staying up and going out and having a bite, and crashed. And then Wednesday rolled around, and Rocky got into town, and the first thing we did was we went to the Todd McFarlane showcase for McFarlane Toys, and that kind of opened our show. It was a little far from the convention, but got some photos, and that sort of set the tone for the weekend, or at least Rocky hoped that it was setting the tone for the weekend. Yeah,
I want to interject with a story about the Todd McFarlane that showing. It set the tone because they had drinks there, but they were serving non-alcoholic drinks, and the busboys were doing a pretty good job serving everyone, and I went up and I. Even though they were free, I noticed there was a tip jar, and there was no money was in the tip jar. And this is near the end of this, after we're looking at all these amazing toys, and it's just incredible. I got lots of pictures, and I'm actually looking at the pictures as I'm talking. And I have to say, so I as an act of kindness, I took out I was going to get a $5 in the tip jar, and all I had was a 10, and the guy said, "Oh, I'll give you change," but the bartender couldn't find change, and I said, "You know what? Don't worry about it. Here's 10." And I thought nothing of it. He thanked me, and then about 20 minutes later, a guy comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, sir. This is for you." And I looked, and it's a Berserker special edition of Berserker #1 with the Berserker McFarlane action figure on the cover. And apparently, he went around. He asked the waiter, "Is there any nice person that the waiter had met?" That he could pick out, and he picked out me because I was the only one that tipped him. So that act of kindness sort of set the tone for the rest of the day, for the rest of the days, because I have managed to acquire so much stuff, and despite some frustrations with lineups, you get lucky. I mean, I take the advice that you gave early on about planning your day, and I got to tell you, we looked quite a bit at. For those listening, Jace provided us, Steve and I, with his own itinerary of panels he was going to go to, and because we're all lovers of DC, we have very similar tastes, and so it was similar sensibilities, and so it was very helpful for us to sort of like structure our day in advance that way. And of course, you can do that online, and there's apps that we used as well with forum apps and everything. But but anyways, that set the tone, it was. And that was just in the first experience.
Yeah, but like you said, it really did set the tone. So we went from there. We went to the Godzilla experience, which was cool. We got a little coin, but that kind of underwhelmed. That was maybe one of the little disappointments of the week, because it ended up there's a really cool Godzilla statue inside, but it was just a store selling stuff. There wasn't really anything to it. So. Which was fine, it's not like we had to wait a long time, and we got to check it out. But from there, I got to do one of the things that I really enjoyed was introducing Rocky and his friend Steve to people that they had maybe heard about in terms of creators, or people that are friends of mine, or people that tick both those boxes that I've talked about for years, and just getting a chance to introduce them. So. Got a chance to introduce you to the infamous Dinesh Shamdasani, CEO and Chief Creative Officer of Bad Idea. Met at Lou and Mickey's, as we often do before going into preview night. So just been able to sit down there and have a drink and talk some comics. And he had some chromium covers of some of the books, Planet Death 1. I think, and we got a sneak peek of a cul-de-sac issue and an ordained cover that's kind of chromium. So, yeah, that was cool to see those upcoming books from Bad Idea. It's funny because Dinesh is what a character, what a guy, so humble, so down to earth. He's obviously he's very successful, but he's humble in his success. He cares he's so passionate about comics, and I have to say the way that he's so open and friendly, because he doesn't know me well. I mean, he's heard about me through you, but just super friendly. I mean, he talks to me as if we've been friends longer than just longer than a week or whatever. So it was wonderful. It was very, very welcoming, and in particular, I decided to wear one. Should I tell the fedora story now? Oh, of course. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know, because I know that we're sort of mixing our days, but I made the executive decision of wearing one fedora to San Diego, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to wear it, but I figured, because I wear them a lot at home, and I got a fedora collection at home, and I like them enough, but I also know that maybe they're a little out of style or whatever, or I don't think they're out of style, but that's just me. But anyways, so I don't know how the hell we got on the topic, but I wore the fedora, and it was hanging out. That was the first night, wasn't it? And,
yeah.
Because I was trying to get, because Dinesh, Dinesh is he's probably one of the few guys actually shorter than I am. I'm 5'6.5", and he's shorter than me, and he's missing some hair up top there. But I told him, I said he looked damn good if he got a fedora. And I put my fedora on him. I got a picture with Dinesh wearing my fedora, and I told him, I said, "Geez, you're a good-looking guy, but you're better looking with a fedora on it. It's just the way most guys are." And anyways, discussions ensue, and then Jace, it was you who who took the liberty of, and you want to take it from there. I mean, you took the liberty, and I can't believe you did this. I mean, it was late at night. On Jace gets on his phone and he goes on Amazon, and you ordered 5 fedoras from Amazon for delivery to the hotel the next day.
Yeah, I mean, technically it was same day delivery because it was after midnight. Yeah, well, we got a 5-pack of fedoras. Yeah, then we wore them the next night. But yeah, just that's the craziness that happens at San Diego. But part of it was just because when we were at the Union Tap House, kind of after hours, and we'll go back. We're kind of skipping ahead a little bit here. Yeah. But you were so excited. You were so excited, and extolling the virtues of fedoras. So it was like it had to be done. It had to be done. When I saw I could get them delivered to the hotel, like basically the same day. Yeah, sure, had to do it. But let's back up a little bit. So because I kind of want to get your first impression, because I'm trying to remember, because I know we walked into the show floor on preview night, and it's just massive inside, and I immediately move into kind of network mode. I'm saying hi to everybody or what have you. But I know that we split up at one point, then we got back together in front of Trevor's booth. But I'm trying to remember, like, what did we do first? Because you, me, and Steve met up, and then. Yeah, what did you guys do? Well,
I'm actually looking at our pictures because I'm a picture taker. So fortunately, the pictures So I'm watching the pictures, and Steve and I basically we actually we met up and we walked around the con for a bit, and we got a bunch of pictures taken, and they had a representation of the Action Comics #1, and we were pretending to lift up the car, just like in the classic cover. And then we looked at the DC booth, Marvel booth. We wanted to get inside tracks on maybe getting in for the lineups and just getting a feel for the place. And that's really what it is. And there's some things my buddy wanted some Legos, and so they had a big Lego booth, so we checked that out. And then for those who are regular listeners to the DC podcast, our DC reviews, well, you know that I apparently Jace said something prepared for me involving pink hair.
Yeah, that was fantastic. So, yeah, for my part, I saw a few people that I wanted to talk to. Chris Cantwell, Chris Condon, Tyler Kirkham. But yeah, the biggest thing I was looking forward to. So, Trevor Fernandez-Lenkowitz, who used to, review comics before he started making comics, and Rocky and we covered all the Future State books and whatever. But, back then, Jay Nakamura, Superboy, John Kent Superboy's boyfriend, a character that, we can debate his, virtues as an actual character another time, but needless to say, Rocky is not a fan of the character, and specifically his pink hair. She just thinks it looks ridiculous. So unbeknownst to Rocky, Trevor and I years ago, this was 4 years in the making. We said that if the three of us were ever, I'm in Arizona and Phoenix, Trevor's in Connecticut, Rocky's in Alberta, Canada. So, we're all spread out all across North America. But Trevor and I got together one time on a call, or it might even been when I was out there in Connecticut at Terrificon. And we decided that if we were ever together in the same place at a show, that we would surprise Rocky by wearing pink wigs. So I got these pink wigs again. Thank you, Amazon. All hail Lord Jeff Bezos. I got these pink hair wigs, kind of shortish hair. They were like $8. And yeah, I had one and Trevor had one, and so we put them on, and we're at Trevor's booth, and we call Rocky. We're like, hey, come over to Trevor's booth. Come over to Trevor's booth, and he has no idea we have these wigs on. And the funniest part was, he's walking down the row where Trevor's booth is, and he looks dead right at me, and doesn't even recognize me, and just walks right past me because I have this mop of.
I'm colorblind. I refuse to see pink hair.
Yeah. It was like this mod pink hair, this mod hairdo. And yeah, it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah, it was good. I got some good pics of that too. That's good.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. So, anyway, one of the guys I got to introduce you to was Tom Aiko from Rocket Ship Entertainment, and they were hanging out at the Blarney Stones after. So, once preview night was ending and what have you, and we wanted to go grab a bite to eat, we headed over to the Blarney Stone. Unfortunately, they had closed the kitchen like right before we got there, so we had a quick drink and talked to some of the Rocket Ship people, introduced you to a couple of the creators there, Riley Brown, Mongi, who does Let's Play. She was telling us about her trip to Japan and seeing the Let's Play animated series for the first time, which is amazing. It's on Crunchyroll. Go check it out if you're so inclined. So from there, we were like, man, we got to go get some food. But it was getting kind of late already, and everything was busy, so having to wait even longer for food, because I think we tried to go someplace and their kitchen was closed. Everything that was open was really long. So we just hit up Gaslamp Pizza and grabbed some slices, because that's kind of a San Diego Comic Con tradition as well. Inexpensive and decent pizza. And then we had planned to come back to the hotel I was staying at, the Bayfront, the bar in the lobby where everybody kind of hangs out. But before we could even get there, that's when we ran into Dinesh and gang again.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where we ended up at the Tap House. Thus came the Fedora story. Thus came more drinking and frivolity. And
I also met there. I walked up and introduced myself again. I know I've met Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor before. I've met them a couple times when they were in Calgary, but I saw them again. They don't know me well enough to recognize me, but I went up and introduced myself, and I spoke to Jimmy. I told him about, because I know he was friends with Darwin Cook, and there's that famous to me photograph of him at Darwin Cook's, or I guess when they were, I guess it was at, Darwin Cook was wearing a fedora in his wedding photos, I think.
Yeah.
And anyways, and I told him I just before I left. Again, serendipity. The day I left for San Diego, the day before, I received Jimmy Palmiotti's and Amanda Connor's Kickstarter campaign comic, and I got the adult version from Amanda Connor of her The Painkiller Gene, and I Soldier, or what is it?
G.I.
Zombie and Painkiller Jane. So it just worked out great. And Amanda, what did you think of the cover? And, well, obviously I loved it, but no, just wonderful people, and I'm so thankful. And it's just and again just the laughs, the fun, and so like there's like again, I met so many people. I even met. I could talk forever. I met a guy named Barry on the shuttle from our hotel on the second day. I met a guy named Barry. He sounded exactly like Barry White, and the only reason I introduced myself to him is because he had a fedora that was, I thought, even nicer than mine. and when he opened his mouth, I laughed because he sounded exactly like Barry White. Except he was divorced, so apparently the voice wasn't good enough to save his marriage. But anyways, just little stories like that. I got like multiples of them, and the hotel I was at was fantastic. And but yeah, just the people. I mean, I'm here because of the people, and I enjoyed the people. I mean, honestly, I love the con, but without the people, I enjoyed the people more than the con. It just happens to be that such a fantastic environment. So really having the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it was great to run into Jimmy that night. Dan Panosian as well. If you didn't hear the announcement, Dan and Jimmy are bringing the Punisher back to Marvel, like Marvel Max style. And what's interesting is it just got announced, but it's already done. It's already completely done. So don't have to worry about it being late or anything like that. And I remember seeing them at the Marriott Pool Bar at the end of San Diego last year, hanging out, and I wondered, like, as soon as I saw this announcement, I was like, were you guys talking about this Punisher series then? But it was even done. It was even already done then. So this has been done for well over a year. But yeah, it was great to see Amanda and Jimmy and Dan Panosian and a couple of the creators that night. going into Thursday, that was really the sort of the official beginning of the con, and for me, a highlight of the whole convention was getting a chance to meet Stephen DeKnight in person. I interviewed him previously on the show for his graphic novel Beneath, which at the time was being released as a digital book on Comixology. It's now in print from Mad Cave, and he's known for his work in Hollywood. That he wants to do more comic work, but Beneath is the only thing he's done to this point. But he was a showrunner on Daredevil for a few seasons, showrunner and writer on Spartacus for a few seasons, and he's just a really, really great guy. So it was great to meet him. But that sort of kicked off my Thursday, which was just seeing a bunch of friends. Daniel Warren Johnson, Ryan Parrott, Cullen Bunn, Chris Condon, who had met previously at New York Comic Con, had interviews that day with Joe Harris. And also coverage of the first DC panel of the show, which was the DC All In panel, which I live tweeted that panel, and everybody, they love when I live tweet panels, and I really appreciate the engagement that everybody gives me, asking questions or retweeting, that sort of thing, which is great. I also live tweeted the Minor Threats panel that day, Patton Oswalt, and that sort of thing. That was really cool. That Minor Threats has a lot of great stuff coming up, which is really, really amazing. But the one thing, and I'm not trying to shame anybody whatsoever, because I've sourced, let's call them stories or news, or I'm trying to spread the word about things from other people before. But when I do it, I give people credit, and I'm not sure. I'm gonna kind of sleep on it and see if I'm going to reach out and say something or not, because I'm not sure how much it bothers me, but it does bother me. I saw tonight, a couple days later, I've been completely unplugged from everything as far as going online and following news that comes out of San Diego. It's so weird to be here, but you miss out on so much stuff because you're here and you're engaged in it.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm getting at is Bleeding Cool had some articles that specifically referencing things that I put in my tweets and using my photos from the panels, from the live tweeting of panels, with no credit to me. That bothers me a little bit. Like, if I'm putting the information out there because I want to share it for the people that don't get to come to San Diego. Sometimes they don't find out till much later, and it's not everybody's fault. It's expensive. You can't necessarily travel. Maybe you could afford it, but you can't even get a badge to get in or whatever. Us people, that are lucky enough to come here, we're in the panels, we're getting that breaking news and cool excitement, like right at that moment. And the reason that I live tweet it is to get it out kind of at that same moment, right when we're finding out, you can find out, you can feel included or what have you.
Absolutely.
And I don't begrudge other people sharing that news. There's people, when I say engagement, there's people that are retweeting me, there's people that are translating into other languages, there's people that are sharing the photos or sharing their thoughts or whatever. So it's not the sharing that I mind. It's but if you're retweeting me, you're still crediting me. But when you take information that I'm giving out and my photos that I'm taking of the things they're showing in the panel, and you're not crediting me for wanting to share, that bothers.
Well, they can easily correct that too, and they should. That's only appropriate because especially we just finished talking about how much work you put into it, and it was obvious because during most of the days, Steve and I are off enjoying the show, and you're doing your own thing because you have to be in so many places at once. So it's appropriate that you get the credit, man. There's no question about that.
Yeah. So anything else about Thursday before we
well, what really stood out for me is I got to admit the best cosplay was Fantastic Four was the cosplay of choice on the floor. So many people were dressed up. A lot of people dressed up like Fantastic Four. There was four particular people that were dressed up like the first family of Marvel, and there was an amazing Galactus. It was probably. It looked like it was like 15 feet high, Galactus. It was so real.
Yeah, that's not an exaggeration. This thing was 14 or 15 feet tall, 100%.
Yeah, that had to be the best cosplayer. That it had to win the play. And I got a video that I have a video of how the guy got in and out of that Galactus outfit, and it looked like, I mean, it looked like a scientific wonder in and of itself. Just watching him get in and out of this massive suit, and how he turned the head and the body and everything, and it really is incredible, the creativity that some people have. And everywhere he went, it actually looked like a scene out of a Marvel comic where everyone's looking up in awe at Galactus in a Jack Kirby-esque way. Literally, the only difference is that people are holding up iPhones, because, I mean, he was surrounded by people trying to get a picture. In fact, it was difficult trying to get a good picture of Galactus because he was always turning, and there were so many people around him. But I mean, that's what makes these cons so much fun, is when you come across someone. The people put so much hard work into their. I mean, clearly some of the best cosplayers in the world come here. And not that I'm an expert on cosplay, but you don't have to be. Trust me, you're kind of a miniature expert once you come to San Diego, because you see a lot of it. So it's good times.
This is the view from the balcony. Say hi, Steve.
Hello.
Yeah, long day at the con. Now we're just chilling and relaxing. Gonna probably going out later. Yeah, it's fantastic. Really good. Fortunately, we're allowed to bring alcohol back to the room, so it's all good. And I finally got my DC ad. Good night, Ernie.
On Thursday, we spent a lot of time with Boom Studios. I went to Loungefly, which is a place that makes purses and bags from various intellectual properties. I bought my daughter a bag from the early 1990s movie Clueless with Alicia Silverstone. The dress that she wore, there was a purse that was made out of that. It was a limited edition San Diego Comic Con purse. I think I paid like $80 for it, but I had to wait in line for it. But I got it for my daughter, and then I believe we checked out. Really enjoyed the Alex Ross booth, I love some of his sketches there. So he really puts on a hell of a presentation, Alex Ross. I should say there's a lot of women that dressed up like Galactus too. I'm looking at my pictures. This is where I'm getting it to help refresh my memory. But just I have to say, a lot of sexy Galactuses. Something about a statue. Take a beautiful statuesque woman and give her a bigger head, and the one was carrying around a giant beach ball that was supposed to be a planet. She was sexy as hell. It was quite good. And Red Sonjas. There was 2 Red Sonjas that I naturally I had to get my picture taken with them. Because why? Because of Red Sonja. And I'm a guy that collects multiple Dynamite covers. Even though I bitch about variant covers, I'm the guy that buys 2 or 3 Red Sonja covers, and I bought a Red Sonja cover as well. And yeah, they was a little disappointed with the Superman display. But the DC panel booth was awesome. I picked up a lot of stuff. So many comics, so many posters. They had a Daily Planet. They had a Daily Planet script or a Daily Planet newspaper duplicate, and but it had. I mean, you had to get a lineup for that, and the lineups were long for that, but it was worth it. Bought a Peacemaker shirt. Eat peace, mother effers. It says on it, and I bought a Superman gold chain at the DC panel booth, along with some pins and the DC KO ash can as well, and on the Milkbone. I ended up buying 2 Milkbone boxes to get 2 of the Milkbone Superman limited edition Superman comics. I had to buy. It was only $10, and it's interesting. I look at various apps. You go on eBay, and throughout the con, you can literally go on eBay and track to see how. If you pick up a variant, you can literally track it on eBay the next day to see what it's going for, because that's one of the things at the con. People just love buying the exclusives and then throwing them online, and clearly they're doing that. And it's just there's so much to do, so much to see, and but also to talk about the people again. Steve and I just taken a break, going, a break in the middle of the con. And meanwhile, remember how busy Chase is, guys, because he's not around a lot of part of the day because he's doing his interviews. So Steve and I have got. Steve and I get separated, we do our own thing, and then we get together, we'd go just across the street or across the tracks from the con is a beautiful downtown sort of core of San Diego, and there's places there's wonderful places to eat and sit on a balcony and people watch, and so it's a lot of interesting people watching. But so Thursday was a pretty good day.
Yeah, and Thursday night for me it was the one where I had like the most obligations. SG Blaze, who I hope everybody's had a chance to check out my interview with her, and she's a really talented writer that writes these sci-fi, fantasy, romance novels, and they went all out with their activation, and their booth was fantastic and just really, really great. So still worth it to go and check out my interview with her. Obviously, the show's over. You can't go do those activations and what have you anymore, but such a great sense of community that she's built up around it. So she had a little party on Thursday after. There was people dressed up as characters from her books. They had some themed drinks, and it was just really cool. And she was there herself. I got a chance to chat with her a little bit, and it was downtown in this little kind of boutique bar, and I was standing there talking to her and just saying, like, look at what you did. Like, this all exists because of the stories that sprung from your imagination. And it was really cool just to kind of see that. And she was very touched by that. And you could see how much she cares. And just the fact that, this fantasy novelist, has built up this community, and she's so accessible to her fans. And, it's amazing. It's really, really cool. So from there to the fandom party, which is one of the hottest tickets and hardest parties to get into. All American Rejects were playing there. It was packed, as it always is. They had a couple of different activations in there, things you could do, interactive photos, a niffler, which is apparently some mystical animal from Harry Potter that you could get, which I'm not a fan of Harry Potter. I mean, Harry Potter's fine or whatever. I'm just saying I'm not that knowledgeable of Harry Potter, but my wife is, and so I made sure to get one of those for her, even though that meant I had to carry it around the rest of the night. Because after that, I went to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund party, which was really fantastic too. But getting back to the fandom party, the thing about that party though is that is not a comic book industry party. That's just a kind of a Hollywood almost industry party. But it's not like you see a bunch of stars there. Although there are people there. There was one guy, I don't know who he is or what his name is. I just know he was from the Punisher television show, and a lot of people were stopping him to take pictures with him or what have you. Oh. Jim Lee was there. Everybody was asking, take pictures with him or what have you. But it's just it's a party more for the people kind of behind the scenes. Like, there's a lot of production people there, people that are trying to break in as actors. A lot of journalists are there. It's just a really, really fun party. And it doesn't hurt that the booze is free flowing there, and that's why it's a 21 or over party. But then I left right before the All American Rejects came on because I needed to get to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund party. But what I appreciate about fandom and why I really like what they do is because they build such a sense of community. It's a great community. If you haven't gone there, go to their website, follow them on social media. It's Get Fandom. On social media, and then fandom.com. But it's like no matter what your fandom is, if you're into comics or movies or TV shows or Harry Potter or Magic the Gathering, it doesn't matter, whatever it is, you can go there to that website and meet like-minded fans, and you sort of, each of those different fandoms sort of self-curate almost a Wikipedia style like information database where you can learn about a fandom that you're interested in, learn more about it, contribute to spreading the knowledge of that fandom or what have you, and it's just really, really great. So hopefully I'm going to get to do more with them going forward and help to kind of bring people together with their particular fandom. Because the thing that was so great that happened, I interviewed Zach Michaels, who's the event organizer, who was gracious enough to give me a little bit of his time just a week before the show, and he's trying to put together this event, which has got to be like herding cats, right? It's on the roof of the Hard Rock Hotel. There's all this stuff to manage, all the different activations, all the different people that are working it. They had some people in giant balloon animal cosplay, which was amazing. But yeah, it's a lot. He's got a lot to do, and he's not doing it on his own. He's got a fantastic team or what have you, but he was still taking time out of a busy schedule to chat with me. And one of the reasons that fandom wanted to chat with me and talk about some of the things that were going on at the show and at the party was to let people know how they could still get in, because this is a party that sold out weeks ago, but they still had so many people that were reaching out, hey, how can I still possibly get tickets? And it involved following fandom on social media and participating in contests throughout the first sort of preview day of the con, Wednesday, and then throughout Thursday before the party was happening. There was a chance to win tickets to go to the party. And so I was happy to do that, happy to share the information. But as soon as I stepped off the elevator, when I got checked in downstairs, one of their PR people immediately came up to me, greeted me by name, shook my hand, thanks for spreading the word. They were happy with the numbers and the engagement that all that did. So that was really cool. I'm not used to that, because again, this is not a really comic book centric. But we had a fantastic chat, and it was really great, to be acknowledged and appreciated for helping to spread the word. But the other thing that happened, so when I went to leave, I went back down the same elevator that I came up on, but that wasn't where you had to go downstairs. Go from the roof, you can take stairs to go down as well at a different exit, and that's the way you needed to go in order to pick up your Niffler. So I went downstairs. I went down the elevator, and they were like, "Oh no, you got to go out the other way to pick it up." I was like, "Okay, no problem." So I get back in the elevator, and I'm going back up to the party, and there's a couple people there that were like, they were so happy they were vibrating, and it was this couple, this man and woman, and they were so excited, and so I had to ask. I was like, "Oh, is this your first time to the fandom party? Like, what do you do?" Because they're just so excited. They're like, "Oh, yeah, this is our first time. We won tickets. Like, we won tickets by doing a scavenger hunt in the gas lamp area of San Diego today." And they knew about it. They knew about how to win tickets because they heard about following fandom on social media from they didn't watch the show on YouTube, but they saw one of my tweets about it and went and followed fandom and then followed and then won, and they were so excited they were getting to go to the fandom party and see the All American Rejects. So that I should have grabbed a picture with them. I didn't think about it until after. I was so excited for them, but I should have grabbed a picture. But anyway, after that, walked over to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund party, and that's all. That is sort of the party when it comes to the comic industry. This year, co-sponsored by Global Comics and Mad Cave and Nacelle, which is bringing back Biker Mice from Mars. And yeah, everybody's there, and that was just a great time to catch up with people. It was the first time I saw a lot of people in the industry at that party. And yeah, it was just a really, really good time, and you were there, and I got a chance to introduce you to some people, and there was food and drinks and what have you. And yeah, that was a great time, but that made for a long night, me going from party to party to party. I know I sound like such a jerk, like having access to all these parties, and oh, woe is me, but yeah, it was a reminder that San Diego Comic Con is a marathon, not a sprint. But yeah, that party was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It's around that time that I mean, I like to think I've started to work out more in the last 2.5 years, but I got to tell you, the walking is incredible because when you walk all day and then when you drink all night. And then you get 4 to 6 hours sleep, and then you walk all day, and then you drink all night, and then you get 4 to 6 hours sleep. I mean, by day 3, by day 12, hey, that's challenging at the best of times. But yeah, I particularly, I used to be a member of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and I think maybe I still am an honorary member, but in any event, you can get into the party. Made a $25 donation, and just a gorgeous. It's a gorgeous like a rooftop party, and it's again meeting all kinds of people that you introduced me to, and it was a really good time. And then when we left, we ended up going to downtown, and we were because that was Thursday night.
Yeah.
And then when we left, we went downtown, and then early Friday morning is when we ended up. I think that's when that early Friday morning. So the fedoras had arrived that you'd ordered the day before, and Dinesh and the crew tried them on back at the both back at Odyssey, the pub at the Hilton Bayfront. Bayfront. So I mean that was a long night, but oh man, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a long, and that's typically what happens. We go from the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund party to the Hilton Bayfront, but yeah, such a fantastic time. And the one thing that else that I want to say about the Legal Defense Fund party, it's great, it's fun, it really is comic book people coming together, but also there's a silent auction there, and all the proceeds from the party, silent auction, whatever, it goes to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and they are such a fantastic organization, helping creators who might get into trouble legally, especially with censorship issues, but also helping with other things, housing and medical and all that thing. So it's a very, very worthy cause, very great organization, and credit to Nacelle and Global Comics and Mad Cave for co-sponsoring that party, and really supporting such a great cause. So Friday, kind of more of the same for me, honestly. Just getting a chance to see creators. I originally was supposed to do the Resident Alien panel, but I kind of pulled the ripcord on that. I just had a feeling it was going to run long, and from my understanding, it didn't even start until 2 hours later than it was supposed to. So I'm glad that I did that. But instead, I was on the show floor. I was seeing people. I was saying hi and kind of doing my thing. Didn't have any interviews that morning, but at 12:30 I had the Skinbreaker press room. So for those who haven't heard the news, Robert Kirkman doing a series called Skinbreaker with David Finch, and this is a book. I got to see the art. It's absolutely amazing. I got to see it in color. I got to see it in black and white. And the first thing I thought is, this is the most detailed David Finch ever has been, and there's no way this can be a monthly book. Because how could he possibly? It's all double page spreads, so intricate. So it's gorgeous. You showed it to me too. It's amazing. Yeah, it's incredible. And what we discovered in the press room was it's done. It's actually done. All 8 issues are done. David's been working on this already for 7 years, and it's just amazing. And Robert Kirkman kicked off the press room basically by saying that the level of success he's had with Walking Dead and Invincible, both those franchises in different mediums, has allowed him to do this. He's always wanted to work with David, but this is not a project that they could have done. He couldn't have afforded to pay David for 7 years to create a book that's not actually out there selling, if he didn't have the financial backing of these other properties. So that allowed them to do a couple of things. Number one, wait and take as much time as they needed to tell the story they wanted to tell, and for David to just go crazy. I mean, the details on the costumes that these characters wear are absolutely amazing. And the first thing I thought was, David, you got to draw that on the costume every time. How are you possibly going to be able to do that in a monthly book? But the point being that it's already all done. And it wasn't originally going to be a monthly book. Kirkman talked about that as well. And I'll release that press room interview as a separate episode that you guys can go and check out if you want, probably in a few days. But he had said that He originally, it was going to be just one big oversized book. Think of like a DC Absolute Edition. So you can see the detail in the art. But he got to thinking about that binge model, right? And this is what they do with Invincible, where it's just 3 episodes to start and then 1 each week. Because he feels like when you drop something all at once, it's here and gone, right? Like everybody consumes it immediately, and then it doesn't have that longevity of talking about it, kind of the water cooler moments we call it. It's kind of an outdated term, but he's like, and you also
less
buzz, and we can't even necessarily talk about it at the same time, because maybe I've already had a chance to binge it. You're not watching it till 2 weeks later. By that time, we never end up talking about it, as opposed to something that's coming out a little bit longer, over a longer period of time. It can get people a chance that didn't jump on it right away to get caught up to the point where everybody else is, and then talk about the new issue in this case as it comes out. So they're still going to certainly collect it in that big oversized hardcover, but it is going to come out as a monthly book. And David he's just such a nice guy, and he's so talented and so humble. And even chatting with him on Sunday, I went by his table and said how good it was to see him or whatever, and he again expressed just the relief he has that it's about to be out there. It's something that's been such a big part of his life for so long, and it's finally going to be out there and done. So look for that Skinbreaker press room and press coverage in another episode. But that was fantastic. And then I followed that up. My other interview that I had that day was with a guy named Gus Rios, and he's basically the live version of Zartan from the G.I. Joe comics. This guy is a musician. He's been creating heavy metal music and putting out heavy metal albums, or writing heavy metal music for decades. And he's a huge G.I. Joe fan. He has a giant Cobra tattoo on his wrist, and he had that before any of this went down. But with the kind of reemergence of G.I. Joe and the Energon universe, they came up with this idea, hey, let's do an album. Cold Slither, which is basically the Dreadnoks band in G.I. Joe. And they've brought that together, live action. They had a concert that sold out where they performed on Thursday night. I interviewed him, and he also was so humble and so grateful. And for being like a heavy metal tough guy, dude, he was completely honest and forthright. And he told me he shed some tears backstage at that show because he was so overwhelmed with the response. And he got a chance to meet the guy that wrote that first episode that has Cold Slither in a G.I. Joe cartoon with the band and what have you. So again, look for that interview separately. But that was a fantastic chat. He was awesome. And again, he was just so appreciative of everybody showing up, and kind of like pinching his 7-year-old self who grew up loving G.I. Joe. Like, what a perfect guy to play, the real life Zartan. So that was really cool.
That's awesome. Good story.
And then we did the Bad Idea panel later that day, followed by an original art panel where I won some original art. That was hosted by Swaggohoss. Definitely go and check out his channel on YouTube if you haven't. His name is Mickey Finnegan. He's a writer himself. He has a comic book series called Defiant, which is about half done, that he's kickstarted and soon to finish up with the last 3 issues. But he's super knowledgeable, super nice, really, really great guy, and he did a fantastic job hosting that panel. It was his first time moderating a panel at San Diego. I've moderated a lot of panels. I've never moderated one at San Diego, actually, which interestingly enough. But plenty at WonderCon and Phoenix Comic Con and what have you. So I was given a little tips ahead of time, and he just did a fantastic job. They were giving away original art, and that was a lot of fun as well. And the Bad Idea panel was very well attended. People were super excited. And the one thing, kind of new piece of information for any of you Bad Idea fans out there, there's a new story coming called Warbird, which we haven't seen any visuals for. But it
sounds incredible.
Yeah, it sounds incredible. Robert Venditti's writing it, and I can't wait to check that out. So Anything else from Thursday, or sorry, from Friday, Rocky, that you want to talk about from during the day?
Well, you talked about the panels. I mean, but during the day, it was literally just, I mean, Sunday, the con floor is so large that we never saw everything even by the end of Friday, because we were in different lineups for different things, and I mean, I gotta say, there's some frustration with lineups, because I remember we ended up going to the bathroom one time, and I texted Steve. I said, "There's a lineup in the bathroom too," and I had to take a number 2. So it becomes a running joke between Steve and I that, oh, there's a lineup. We went to the Fantastic Four movie just a couple earlier in the day, and we were surprised there was actually no lineup for the Fantastic Four. It was the first time we experienced no lineups. But in any event, we just more shopping on the con floor, picking up. I on that day, Friday, I did pick up there was some mystery purchases that you could make at some of the retailers, and I ended up getting lucky and finding a J. Scott Campbell cover and a 1-in-100 variant of God's #1 from Marvel. And so it was. I got pretty lucky with comics, I have to say. And I finally got. I met Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. There, I collect Snot Girl. I don't talk about that much because we usually review DC Comics, but I really enjoy Snot Girl, and. I managed to get an issue signed by both the artist Leslie Hung and the writer Brian O'Malley, and what I really enjoyed is even Snot Girl, unfortunately, isn't selling all as well as he'd like. So his final issue is going to actually be a trade paperback, and that's going to be coming out probably over the next 6 months. But they're just going to release all 6 issues as one trade, and they're going to bypass the floppies, which is interesting because the last time I remember that happening in my own experience collecting was Bill Willingham and his final issue of Fables released it as a trade. But Jim Zub, the Titans booth, I had a lot of fun there with Conan. Pick up some Conan issues and Heat Seekers. Heat Seeker, which is sort of a provocative title. I'm a Purian fanboy, as the regular listeners to the DC or DC reviews know. I'm a Purian fanboy, and I'm a sucker for a little bit of TNA on a cover, but not. I don't get the porn stuff. I literally I like the provocative, a sexy, well drawn cover, preferably that relates to the content. And there's lots of that. There's lots of that at the con, but you got to be a little bit. You got to be particular, because there's lots of people on the con floor who, are selling comics where the emphasis is just on the cover, and you could tell there's no emphasis on the content. But you'll learn that as you go, and I guess that's the joy of collecting. You learn as you go, and boy, oh boy, do you learn a lot when you're on the con floor. As a general comment, I can't believe the number of families that come to a con and will push around strollers with 2- and 3-year-olds in their stroller. I'm thinking, oh my God, how do families do it? But it must be something about the people of San Diego. Just they know their San Diego Comic Con, and the diehards that just show up and bring the whole family, because it's not cheap. There's lineups, and it's expensive, and buying $6 for a glass of water, but they do have water. To their credit, they do have water stations, and it's well organized, and it's even better organized in some respects than even the ones I'm familiar with, than even in Toronto or Calgary.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. I was talking to my sister, who hung out with me today, Sunday. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but yeah, just all the different fandoms, things that we have no idea that went on, because there are so many at the intersection of so many different fandoms. Like there's a big meetup of people that collect enamel pins, right? So that's not necessarily something that I do, but although I might start, we'll get to that. But to my knowledge, Rocky does not either, and probably wasn't even aware that there was this big meetup of people that collect enamel pins where they could trade pins and show off their pin collections and what have you. It's stuff like that sort of fandom that has a presence here and did stuff and took up space, and that had to all be organized and whatever. And that's just one little example. There's a Lego group that gets together. There's people that come here just to play Dungeons and Dragons with other people that they just play Dungeons and Dragons with once a year here at San Deigo Comic Con. There's places in the Marriott Marquis that are just playing animated anime movies all day. So there's so many different things that go on. When we talk about comics, it's just one small part. So the amount of organization that goes on is just unfathomable for such a huge event. And the convention center is huge, and although surrounding hotels have even more convention space. And I found myself thinking at one point, actually it was after I had the Skin Breaker panel, when I was standing there waiting for the bank of elevators, and in that area of the bayfront, the window near the elevators looks out on the con and at a way that, on the convention center building, on a way where you can kind of see the length of it. And it got me thinking. I was like, God, it's just such a massive convention center when you talk about going all the way from Hall A to Hall H. And that's not even including all the surrounding hotels that have all this convention space. And it got me thinking, like, is there ever a time where there's a convention that's large enough to even use up all the convention center building space, let alone the hotel? I mean, most of these hotels are big enough to hold a convention, like what we think of as a big comic book convention. These hotels, this hotel specifically that we're in right now, the Bayfront, it's big enough to hold most major comic book conventions in and of itself. It has that much convention space here in this hotel, let alone the gigantic San Diego Convention Center. So yeah, it's massive and it's fun. And speaking of the Hilton Bayfront, it's where the Eisner Awards were held on Friday night. Congratulations to all those that won. Congratulations to all those that were nominated. It was a heck of a lot of fun. And typically, because they are held in this building, everybody comes out of the Eisners and then immediately heads over to the Odyssey bar. And so that's where we went after dinner on Friday and just kind of hung out. And it was a who's who of people, and everybody was there. I definitely was already feeling it a little bit on Friday, having drank quite a bit, the previous 3 days. And I told myself I was going to take it easy that night. I did the exact opposite. I drank more that night than any other night. And but it was a heck of a lot of fun, just seeing creators and talking to everybody and congratulating the winners. And yeah, that was probably the night that's the most hazy for me once we start talking about getting towards the end of the night, because it was a late one. Anything about that night that stands out, Rocky?
Well, we actually Steve and I and yourself and another guy, we had lunch and we wore fedoras at
oh, that's right, at dinner.
At dinner. And I was actually starving at dinner. I ate my plate. I ordered an extra an extra plate of fries because I was starving. I was just starving that day. And then I did a lot of drinking. You're right that I think I may have done more drinking Friday than Saturday. And the funny thing is that I knew I was going to drink, because I normally don't drink. I kind of like stopped drinking, but I drink recreationally now. But I allowed myself a few more sins this week for obvious reasons. And and again, more mingling, more meeting people, and So Friday night at the Odyssey was a really good time.
Yeah, I got to see my buddy Brad Walker, the artist. He's absolutely amazing, super nice guy. He didn't even know he was coming, and kind of last minute finagled a ticket and flew in for a couple days. And I'm literally walking through the Odyssey, and I ran into him, and that was so great to see him. Got a quick photo with him. It was fantastic. Got a photo with Jim Zub. Met a creator named Timmy Teague, who has a Minor Threats crossover with Archie, which is great. Hope you saw when I was live tweeting the Archie panel. I put the cover of the issue 1 up there, and the tagline is so great: "Drink milkshakes, do crime." So we're gonna have Timmy and I hit it off. we're going to have him on the show to talk about the crossover and being part of the Minor Threats world. Saw my boy Lee Lowridge as well. He should be coming on really soon. Got a chance to congratulate Hayden Sherman on his Eisner win, as well as Tula Lotte on her Eisner win. It was just such a great night. But yeah, the next morning, I was hurting a little bit. I was, and I wanted to go to the Brian K. Vaughan panel, but there was just no way I could quite get out the door in time to make it to the panel. And so his panel is from 10 to 11. So luckily, I was able to get there by 11, maybe a few minutes before 11, to his panel. And the panel was already over, and he was already outside the panel room talking to a few fans and taking pictures. So I got a chance to chat with him. I've met him before. I've interviewed him before for his Paper Girl series on Amazon. I follow his Substack. So I whispered the secret code word. I got a little prize for that, and got to chat with him. He's still somebody I would love to have on. He doesn't do press because honestly he doesn't need to. He's such a big name in comics. But he's graciously agreed that at some point he will come on. I just have to kind of keep nudging him about it every so often, and when the timing's right, we'll make it happen. But the other fantastic thing is that he's got this book that he's was doing on his Substack with Nico Hitchron, and it's called Spectators. And I didn't get a chance to finish reading it all before it got taken down. That's on me. I had plenty of time to do it. It just kind of slipped my mind. But they took it all down because they're having it collected by Image in a hardcover or trade paperback, and that's coming out pretty soon. But I mentioned that to Brian, that I didn't get a chance to read it all before it got taken down, but I was looking forward to checking it out. But I also heard that there were advanced reader copies, and I could review it if I had one of those. And I was thinking, maybe he'd like email me a digital advanced reader copy. But he said, I'll do you one better, and he reaches into his bag, and he had one left of a actual physical advanced reader copy that he had signed that he gave to me. So that was fantastic. Took a photo with him. He's such a nice guy, obviously super, super talented. And I will mention, as amazing as the story is, and again, I've only read half of it, it is definitely for mature readers. It is. Yeah, there's a lot there for mature readers. So just be aware. But then the rest of my Saturday, it was interesting. I ended up with a lot of interviews the day I did all my DC interviews. So look for a chat with Philip Kennedy Johnson and Nicole Maines and Mark Wade that will be coming out that day, or coming out from that I did that day. But it was like everything was just spread apart far enough that I couldn't squeeze anything in between. And also everything was me having to move from one place to the other. I was at the convention center, then I have to come back to the Bayfront, then I have to go back to the convention center, then I have to come back to the Bayfront. Like I was running around from place to place to place. So I feel like that day was less productive for me, but then when I look back on it, I'm like, well, when I actually look at the number of interviews I did that day, I'm going to consider hooking or networking or meeting up again with Brian K. Vaughan as productive. I also interviewed the creator of Lenore from Titan, the cutest little dead girl, Roman Dirge, which was fantastic. I had the 3 interviews at DC, and then I also had the Energon press room, which I will release in its entirety, where we got to chat with Robert Kirkman, who's taken over the writing on Transformers. We got to talk to Daniel Warren Johnson about his run on Transformers almost being over, and we also got to talk with Joshua Williamson about G.I. Joe. So when I look at that, I shouldn't be so hard on myself that I feel like I didn't get as much done Saturday as I could have. Because the other thing that happened on Saturday was the Metropolis panel, which I did right after I ran into Brian K. Johnson, or Brian K. Vaughan rather, and then immediately following the Metropolis panel was the Batman panel. So live tweeted both of those, fantastic information in both, images, excitement, both for what's coming with Superman and what's coming with Batman. So, when I look back on it now, I felt like Saturday was a little weird for me, and I wasn't getting a lot accomplished. But I actually did a lot.
Real cool video games here, I gotta tell you what. Finally playing pinball reminds me like when I was back in law school. It's awesome. Just beat King Kong. I just finished playing Jaws, and now we're playing King Kong. Life is good.
Well, I know you do a lot because you spend you're doing your thing all day, and so and we see you a few times. We saw you a few times during the day, but you're always doing something. You're always moving. You couldn't enjoy I guess the con as much as you. Well, I guess you do enjoy doing the interviews, but it does look like you work your butt off. Our Saturday, I spent. I checked out the video games, the new video games, the driving games, because there's entire conference halls were riddled with the newest in video equipment, video games. I'm not even a video guy, but when you can sit down and like drive and it feels like you're driving a real like a super fast race car. I mean, it's awesome stuff. And then my personal favorite, there was an entire room with just old school pinball machines. I remember back in law school back in the day in the early '90s. I used to love pinball. I was pretty good at it back in the day, and you can. The price tag on a pinball machine runs about apparently $5,000 to $7,000 American, and I love that you could. There was a lineup to get into this pinball hall. But I had no problem waiting. It was about a 20-minute lineup, but it was well worth it because we could stay in as long as we liked, and for about 30 minutes, Steve and I took turns. My favorite was a King Kong pinball machine. It's just great stuff. And now with the technology, the extra bells and whistles that they add, it makes it just as. A little bit more exciting, a little bit more. The colors pop off. It's just there's something about a pinball machine that just that I just love. Also, they had a real life prop replica. There was a Jaws 50th anniversary of Jaws pinball machine, SDCC exclusive pinball machine that was pretty cool. And they have a real life duplicate of the I forget the character who owned the boat. in that classic Jaws movie, I forget his name, but he's the fisherman who owned the boat. They got an exact wax duplicate of him hooked up to the pinball machine. It looks pretty good, and it was really great. Oh, and then finally we finally found Saturday. We found the merch, and it's located in the Marriott Hotel, and I finally got some San Deigo Comic Con merch because I was actually surprised that it's not on the anywhere on the con floor. It's literally at the Marriott. It's in another portion of the building, and but I acquired a lot. Got stuff for got a bunch of stuff for myself, and one of the biggest sellers apparently in the merch, when I spoke to the lady in the merch department, is that San Deigo, you can buy plastic cups, like big plastic cups that are just, they're rubbery, they're rubber cups, and I guess they're selling like hotcakes, and apparently it's the in thing now, just rubber cups that that obviously they don't break, but they're rubber cups. I don't know, that and keychains, and I got caps, and I got 3 shirts, and oh my God, the shopping. I might have to report myself to customs on my. I'm probably I'm going to have to lie in terms of how much money I spent. I think, but as a Canadian trying to get, they probably want to keep me here. I don't think I'd have to worry about deportation. I've been spending enough money here. I'm sure that most Americans retailers would want to keep me here. So
yeah, they used to do the merch on the con floor, but they have to have so much merch now. And this wasn't necessarily a problem now because the con floor did seem a little less populated this year. The aisles were a little bit bigger, which was welcome, and there's even a big empty space in one spot. Where the people that reserved it fell through and didn't exhibit, but yeah, because it's so much, it would take up such a big footprint on the floor that they need for other vendors. That's why it's not on the con floor anymore. And also, for all of you that were yelling at the screen or yelling at your headphones as you were hearing Rocky say, yeah, the fisherman, the boat captain or whatever, yelling out his name is Quint.
Quint
is his name.
Quint.
And yeah. So if it was on the tip of your tongue and you couldn't remember Quint, and for those that, yelling out the name, you don't have to reach out to us on social media. We remember that it's Quint. So that night, Saturday night, was the Bad Idea party. So you and Steve met up with me here at the hotel, and I drove out there. And it in a way, it was kind of serendipitous a little bit that I had drank quite as much as I had on Friday and wasn't feeling good on Saturday because I had to drive out there anyway. So it was a good night for me to kind of recover and not really partake. But even though I wasn't drinking, I had a fabulous time. I always have a fabulous time at the Bad Idea party. I did feel a little bit guilty, and I shouldn't whatsoever, and every Bad Idea person said this to me, because usually I go and help set up for that party, but I couldn't set up because I had the Energon press room, so we didn't even get out there till after the party had already started at 8 o'clock, which it was nice because the line was gone by the time we got there, but man, it was packed. There had to be at least 25% more people than there was last year, and it was a real who's who of comic book people and comic book fans. That's one of the things that's great about the Bad Idea party. A lot of some of these parties that we're talking about, it's kind of invite only, and it's a little more exclusive. And mostly that's a cost thing, honestly, and a space thing. Like if you just open up your party to anybody can just show up, and you have 5,000 fans show up. How can they possibly all fit? How can you have enough space and food and whatever? But there are a lot of fans that are fans of Bad Idea, people that are in the industry. I think like Charles Soule was there. That was great to see him. Mike Carey was there. Great to see him as well. Chris Condon was there. And I did get a chance to interview Chris Condon and Ben H. Winters at the Oni booth. I forgot to mention that on Friday. I got a chance to interview both of them. Just real quick, they both want to come back on for longer conversations. We'll definitely make that happen. But in the meantime, look for those short interviews to be out.
We are at the Bad Idea party. Dinesh was nice enough to invite us all. Jace knows him well, and he's a great guy, fantastic. Bad Idea. It's a fantastic comic book company, all kinds of great comics. And I got to tell you, man, this is a really great time. And, man, it's right off the docks here. Forgive my ignorance of geography, but apparently San Diego's got water near it. Who knew? Surprise, surprise. Yes, I'm an ignorant Canadian. What do I know? Second time to San Diego, but it's the first time sober. Sort of. Yeah, great time. Great view. Bad Idea party, fantastic. We're going to go around here. We're going to take a look, see who's who. See if we can get somebody in trouble. Oh, look, there's a guy named Steve. Say hi, Steve. There we go. Hello. Shirt. Ernie and Bert, look at that shirt. This is a man that knows how to dress. I tell you what. I'm just going to go around. There's a sign that says Bad Idea. It's in neon, but you can't really see it. But I'm going to check it out. And the only reason why I'm not walking out on the dock is because it looks like two people are doing some nasty things out there on the dock, and I just don't want to get in the middle of that, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, fantastic. Oh, and then there's this nice little private gala here as well. This whole thing is technically private, although I don't think anybody would really care if we crashed the party. But man, Really good time here. Bad idea party. Seems like a real good idea, though. I guess it's one of those opposites sort of thing, you know? But anyways, man, fantastic time here in San Diego, guys. San Deigo Comic Con. The Bad Idea Party. It is the place to be on the Saturday night of the San Diego Comic Con 2025. This is a fantastic time. I got to tell you, man, this is my first time. And by the way, you know, if you need to get away, you need to hop on a boat, you know, to like boat across the harbor. They happen to have one of those here too. That's all right. Thanks for coming out, right? Wow. And I'm telling you, so far I haven't had to pay for a drink. That's the other plus thing too. You come here and they give you free tickets for booze. I haven't paid a dime yet. Having a great time. You even get like some free Bad Idea, you know, comic books if you like. So it's pretty damn good. So great time here. Great time. So I'm gonna go back in and you know, wow. Yeah, San Diego's been just a great time, and this is to cap off the Saturday. We're staying this Sunday. We're going to fly out Monday. Wisely, we decided that we were going to wisely stay here Sunday night and then fly out Monday. So it's all good. Good times. Catch you later. Say good night, Steve. Good night.
Soon, but anyway, getting back to the Bad Idea Party. Derek Kolstad was there as well, the creator of John Wick, and him and I were trying to catch up. You know, I met him last year. Super nice guy. Last year it was a little, I think he was a little less known as sort of a part of Bad Idea with his Planet Death book. Mm-hmm. So people weren't necessarily, you know, coming up to him because he kind of wasn't, you know, people didn't necessarily realize who he was. But this year, as I was trying to talk to him, fan after fan after fan came up to express their love of John Wick and to chat with him, whatever. And he was just such a nice guy, and you know, taking photos with people and just having a good time, smile on his face. We the two of us did eventually get to have a conversation, which was great. It was great to catch up with him. But also a highlight for me was seeing Thomas Giorello, meeting his wife Barbara for the first time. Tomas is just such a talented artist and such a fantastic guy. And it was great to hang out with him a little bit. And then we came back to the Odyssey again at the Hilton Bayfront. And at that point, I was back at the hotel where I was staying, so I wasn't driving anywhere. I certainly could have had a drink or two. I had people offering to buy me a drink at the Bayfront. But at that point, I was like, you know, it's almost midnight, and I've gone this far through the night without drinking anything. So why start now? Let me just stick to water, which was a good plan for me. Because Sunday I had a couple of obligations, but not a lot. But it was a chance for me to hang out with my sister. I had to be up a little bit earlier, and yeah, being the end of a very long week, yeah, it was probably really smart of me to have taken Saturday night off, especially because we ended up after the Odyssey bar coming up to the room and hanging out till 3 a.m. So man, I was beat. Eventually had to kick you guys out to get some sleep, but. Anyway, you and Steve joined me at the Bad Idea Party. What were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was just more, you know, again, it's a who's who. By that time, I was quite adept at, you know, just meeting people, talking to them. I had a great time. I talked to a lot of people. I can't remember. I definitely remember Charles Soule. I approached him because I've really admired his work. I've liked him for quite a while. I met him. I met him a number of times, but the second time I met him in Calgary, it was when I was in Phoenix last year. He was at Phoenix,
yeah,
and I bought. At his recommendation, Oracle Year, and I bought that and another one of his books. And
No One,
that's right. And there was a supplemental book to it as well that Charles Soule had to tell me what it was, but I read it. Anyways, I read all three of them. I thought they were excellent, and so we talked a little bit about that, and he's talked a little bit about some future projects that he's working on, and yeah, it's just it's great stuff. And may I just say, like, talk about location, absolutely gorgeous, right off the beach, right on the dock. That the location of that Bad Idea Party was just gorgeous. I mean, the night, the scenery, it was just amazing, and it was just nice to just literally just walk around and just take it all in, and yeah, it was just a really, really good time. And Dinesh himself was he was obviously very much enjoying himself. There was even a guy he had do magic at one point, like David Blaine. He was coming in, and we were crowded around Dinesh, and this guy was doing magic tricks, and it was very impressive. But it's just just little things you don't expect. And the food was great. Every now and then people it seemed like every 5 to 10 minutes somebody was some waitress or waiter was coming out with some hors d'oeuvre or some delicious food on a plate, and it would be scooped up right away. And then while we're waiting for our drinks, I mean, there was punches, there was tequila punch, what was it, tequila punch, and what else? Champagne punch. It doesn't. Anyways, plenty to do, plenty to drink, plenty of meet and greets, and it was a very light night. But like you, wisely, I think Steve and I got back to our hotel room at about probably 2 a.m. I think. I know that you guys stayed up later than we did, but we left the hotel. We left the Bayfront to go back to we're staying at the Town and Country. But yeah, just a really great night.
Yeah, then Sunday kicked it off, going over to the Ignition press room, activation. That's a fantastic spot. They had a coffee bar. They had a 5x10 painting of one of the covers of Arcadia by the Miranda brothers. That was gorgeous. I took a picture, put it on social media. The thing is huge. You can see the brushstrokes. It's amazing. They have a murderer's row of talented creators. I picked up a bunch of. I got a shirt. I got an enamel pin. I got a bunch of number ones of their upcoming releases, and then followed that up by going to the Ignition press panel. I live tweeted that. Go and find my thread on Twitter, and you can get more information about the launch titles. And then they announced, as kind of a surprise, the next lineup of creators that's coming. I think it was 12 creators, they said, for 2026 that are doing projects with them, and there's more to come. And these are some big name creators. When we talk about the launch creators, there's books by Jeremy Hahn, Cullen Bunn, Leah Williams, Stephanie Williams, Tim Seeley, and then a guy who's known more in Hollywood circles, Pete Murrieta, who's a screenwriter, creator of Wizards of Waverly Place, if you're familiar with that show on Disney Channel. And he's doing a story, we don't know the title yet, but it's focused on Chicano futurism. And he did a reading for us. And the whole idea of the series is, what if the Aztec Empire had survived? What would that, because they, for their time period when they existed, they were a lot more advanced than a lot of other civilizations. So, how much farther advanced would they be than, let's say, the United States if they had arrived? And so apparently it's a story of the U.S. having sent a spy into the country of Azteca, or whatever it's called, and he sends back a letter, like a report, reporting on some of the things he's seeing and feeling and what have you. And the reading that Peter Murrieta did was this report, and it was interesting because it would touch on certain things, like he's reporting the weather, but then he's talking about the technology they have, but he's talking about worried that they know that he's a spy. And it was so immersive, and it probably took between 5 and 10 minutes for him to kind of read this report. And it was really fascinating. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to having the Ignition press guys on, because I was supposed to chat with them on Sunday morning, but the timing just didn't work out because they were actually prepping for their panel. And so, yeah, we'll have them on later to have a longer conversation. But one of the things that I will say here is that their motto is doing things differently, and they really are treating their creators. I mean, they started off by building this company by going to creators and asking them, what is it that you wish publishers would do differently, would do better, in terms of treating you and your compensation, whatever. And also, what are the things that you don't like that publishers do, so they can avoid those things. But it's not just doing things differently with the creators, but also with engagement with fans. So they had a party last night that was much more kind of open, purposely held on the ground floor, rather than where most of these parties are on rooftops, where you get the idea it's, you know, the haves looking down on the have-nots. But the other thing is that to celebrate the launch of Voyeur, which is Leah Williams' first title with Ignition Press, they had a burlesque party at that same space, the Ignition Press room, and half of the seats were reserved for fans, people that were going to the Ignition Press room, you know, buying something.
Yeah, that's nice.
You would get tickets, you'd be able to go, and so half of the people that were there were industry people, comic book writers and artists and what have you, and the other half were just fans. It wasn't hard, you know, if you got in there early on the first day or two to buy merch that came with those free tickets. So that was really fantastic. So after that, I went inside with my sister, introduced her to a few people. I had a Matt Fraction interview to talk about Batman. I got to catch up with Mark London, founder of Mad Cave Studios. I love Mark. He's so nice. He's such a fantastic guy, great creator, so passionate. Congratulated him on his win for One Shot that they did, the LA Strong to benefit people that lost their homes, creators and otherwise, in those LA fires. So that was great, you know, for him to be recognized for putting that together. So just a quick chat with him, quick chat with Matt Fraction on Batman, and yeah, that was kind of all my obligations for the day. So just kind of walked around, like I said, with my sister. Got some YA books at the DC booth signed by a few people. Tom Krajewski doing primer, you know, along with Jennifer Moreau. We reviewed that. We loved it. I was able to get a copy. I didn't have a hard copy of the second volume. I do now. And then Amanda Dibert, Teen Titans Go. So that was fun to do that. And then
Yeah, it's as good as it looks.
I always have to get at least one back issue. You know, I bought some comics already. I mentioned the Ignition Press ones, but also, you know, people giving me books and you know, exclusives, what have you, like the Skinbreaker exclusive that I mentioned. But I always have to get at least one back issue. Often I get more, but I started to run short on time, and I had in my mind, I was spend $20. I want to get something. I don't know if I mentioned this on the show before, but for Father's Day, my wife got me this awesome Hulk blanket. I even brought it with me to the show, and it's just a collage of all these different Hulk covers. And seeing all these really cool Hulk covers, I have probably half of the issues that are on the blanket, but the other half are really early ones, like you know, probably below 150. So it has spurred me to trying to go back and complete my Hulk run. I have from issue 240 or 238, I think, like all the way up through the end of when the first volume ends. But below that, I'm pretty sporadic here and there. So anyway, I went over to this booth, immediately dove into the I section, went to their oldest issue they had. It was 115, which is that classic leader cover. It was exactly $20 what I had in my mind to spend. I pulled the trigger on it. I was like, yeah, it was a no-brainer. It was in great shape. And then we kind of wanted to finish it off, walking to the end of the show floor with the upper deck booth is kind of one of the last ones. And I wanted to see those cards you had told me about that you said you didn't really care for, those Superman cards.
Yeah.
So I went and looked at them, and I actually really liked them. Now, those insert variants with the gold border around, I do agree that I wish the picture was. I want to see the actual comic rather than having this big, thick gold border around it. Yeah. But those are just an insert. You know, every card doesn't look like that. Every card is nice and shiny and metallic and cool. So I wanted a pack or two. Because again, I certainly don't want to start collecting something else. And I have a bunch of cards. I have a bunch of I have a bunch of cards anyway.
I collect comics.
Yeah, I have a bunch of cards from back in the day, and I don't really do anything or look at them that often.
Yeah.
So, but the woman, she did a fabulous job of upselling me, because I was like, "Are these in stores?" And she's like, "No, there'll be another version of them with different inserts and variants in Target and Walmart eventually, but." This is the only time and only place where these specific versions of these cards are going to be available. And if you buy because I couldn't just get a pack, I had to buy the box. And the box was $50, and it had 15 packs in it. And I think there's 5 cards per pack.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. And I was glad I got it, because I do, I want to open them up, and I want to take a card or two and kind of display it in my studio. But I'm certainly not going to display them all or whatever. But I'll have my favorites, and I'll put them up where I can see them, and I'll enjoy that. But my sister actually had a great idea, because I was like, it's not something I needed. And she said, you know what you should do is you should open them on the show. And I was like, that is a fantastic idea. So for the next 15 DC Spotlights, at the beginning of the show, I will open up one of these packs, and we will all discover together what cards I get. So
right
we'll see.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, let's go to the Marriott pool bar and meet up with Dinesh and some other people before I spend any more money. And I'm literally heading toward the door, and right across from the upper deck booth is fig pins, which I wasn't familiar with fig pins.
Yeah.
I thought it was minifigs, which minifigs are the little Lego men, but apparently fig pins, leaning into the popularity of these Lego minifigs, crossed over with currently the popularity of enamel pins. They're much larger enamel pins than you would normally see, but they're in blind boxes. So like they had a Superman one there where there was 5 different Superman versions that you could get, but you didn't know which one you were going to get. Yeah. And they had this deal. They were $20 each, and they're, like I said, they're pretty large, and they're really cool. And I thought, well, maybe I'll get one. And the guy's like, well, they have the sign up there that says if you buy 3 of these blind boxes, you get an Action Comics enamel pin for free. So I was thinking, do I get 3? And the guy can see me there looking at it, and he goes, just so you know, we're having a deal today. If you buy 2, you get 1 free, which means you're now getting 3, which means you get the enamel pin, the Action Comics bonus.
Oh yeah, okay.
So
you had to.
Yeah, so I had instead of just getting 1, I could instead of spending $20, I spent $40, but I ended up with 4 instead of 1 or 2. They ended up being $10 each, so they were much less expensive. So I pulled the trigger on that, and I'm like, okay, now we really got to go before I spend any more money. And then as we're walking out of that booth, I noticed that they have other Superman ones where it's Superman's emblem, and the superimposed over that is either Lex Luthor, or the one I really wanted was there was a Superman and Lois where they were embracing, and it looked fantastic. And those were only $10, because $10 they were a little bit smaller. But when I looked at the box, it was like 1 of 8. So, and I really wanted one specific one. So, and I was like, I cannot spend any more money. But I did go back up to ask, like, is there a place to go online? Because again, often you can trade with people, or you can buy, directly from people who may have duplicates or what have you. And it's figpin.com, which is the website you can go to. And at the register, they actually had the exact one that I wanted of the emblem ones with Lois and Superman. embracing. And my sister was like, "Well, you should just ask him if you can buy that one." But I didn't think that would be right, so I didn't pull the trigger on that. But so again, we'll open I don't know what I'm going to get, but we'll open those together on the show at some point.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan
as well. So. But your Sunday was much more relaxing, Rocky.
Yeah, no, I didn't need to go to the con on Sunday. I'd seen so much. I was very fortunate that the hotel that I got through. I think it was Richard Fairgray and Trevor. It was pre-booked by other creators, and it was transferred to me, and it was at the Town and Country, gorgeous hotel, and it was just fantastic beach. I mean, it's nice pool, gorgeous, great service, and I spent most of the morning and to the mid-afternoon just laying and just relaxing and sun tanning. And then there's something called a place called the Fashion Palace. Fantastic shopping, outdoor shopping. I'm not used to looking up when I'm in a mall and I see palm trees. It's just incredible. And then Steve did go to the con, and he bought a bunch of. He got some Ninja Turtle comics. He got his Power Rangers signed by the creators. And he also went to Hall H. He got in line up at Hall H, and he got into Hall H to see the George Lucas presentation he told me about. And George Lucas, I guess he's opening another art museum. And I guess the art museum that he's opening up it has no right angles. There's nothing's at 90 degrees, and it's a very special thing, and that just took quite a while. And Steve's a diehard. He got into the lineups again. He got more. He went into the DC booth. He's got two young boys, ages 11 and 13. So he's made sure they have their DC posters and for Fortnite and everything else. And he loaded up on that. And he came back, and then we're sort of quasi communicating with you. And we decided, well, let's bite the bullet and go to Fantastic Four, and that's what we did. And because I thought, well, what a good way to cap off, go to Fantastic Four and then come here and do this recap with you. And just for what it's worth, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I was pleasantly surprised how much I enjoyed Fantastic Four, the first family of the Marvel Universe. And I thought it was a really good movie. Superman's still my favorite, but Fantastic Four was. I think it's really good. And boy, oh boy, that end credit scene was something.
Yeah, I still don't know that I'm going to go see it. I really don't care for those actors. It's just a personal thing. I have nothing against them. I wish success for that movie. I did find it strange that I had a few people telling me, on the day that it opened, it's better than Superman. I was like, how could you even say that at this point? Like, not enough people have seen it, watched it, whatever. And I certainly wasn't hearing it from anybody who had seen it that necessarily trust their opinion or whatever. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I'm curious about it, but I would be going to see it more as a curiosity than to go enjoy it for what it is. Because again, everything I've seen in the trailer with the time period that it's set in doesn't really appeal to me. The actors don't appeal to me. So
yeah. Well, I can tell you this: the biggest surprise for me was Pedro Pascal, because there's been a lot of negative. I think he's oversaturated the movie market. He's overexposed. Yeah,
definitely.
And so I was like many people. I was sort of taken aback that he got cast as Reed Richards. But I got to say, man, he won me over. His acting was phenomenal, like really good, because it's an emotional movie, and it's really strongly character based, and I think that's the strength of the movie, which it should be, because it's the first family of Marvel, and the way they set up the time period and the way they set up I will say this: it takes place on Earth 828. And the 828 refers to August 28th, which is Jack Kirby's birthday, which I thought was a nice touch.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Female Silver Surfer, which that's been a little bit of a divisive choice.
Yeah.
I will say it bothers me more that we have Reed Richards with a mustache than it does that we have a female Silver Surfer. I'm more willing to accept a female Silver Surfer than I am Mr. Fantastic with a mustache. I don't like it. I don't like mustaches. I just don't. I don't think they look good. And you know, I suppose
the porn stash.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it's part of a, you know, with a goatee or, you know, so Van Dyke, whatever, it's fine. But when it's just a mustache by itself, I don't like the look of it. And it's so interesting because, like, famously, Cesar Romero, who played the Joker in Batman 66, you know, refused to shave his mustache, and they just painted it white along with the rest of his face. But it looks so strange because he had this white mustache. But I suppose Pedro Pascal, I mean, I've never seen him without the mustache. I don't know that they even bothered to ask him to shave the mustache. Clearly, he wasn't. He probably wouldn't have been willing to anyway. But man, how far this guy has come so quickly. I mean, if correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't watch as much of the comic book, film, and TV that you do. But he really made a name for himself first as the Mandalorian. Is that accurate?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. He doesn't come across to me as like physically imposing at all. So, and I take anybody like Boba Fett or anybody, you know, any of those other Mandalorians, I take them to be like these badass, like bounty hunter type characters. But when I see Pedro Pascal, he doesn't like, he's not. He doesn't come across as an action hero to me. You know?
Well, it was Game of Thrones. He played a character on Game of Thrones that was very suave and a very good fighter in Game of Thrones. He had a very horrible death in Game of Thrones.
Well, didn't everybody?
Yeah, but that really put him on the map. And then with Mandalorian, and then he's been in a number of movies.
Yeah, I did not care for his Maxwell Lord in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I wasn't. I didn't either. Well, that whole movie, Wonder Woman 1984, was not a good movie.
No.
But no, it's so here we are. It's after midnight here on the final day of San Diego Comic Con, and I just got to thank you again, Jace, for as we wind this down. It's really this is my 50th year of collecting comics. I've said this before, but to say it again, what a way to cap off my 50th year of being a comic collector. Because for the last, I guess since 1970 was the first San Diego Comic Con. At least I believe it is, because I see all these classic shirts here at San Diego that you can buy. They say San Diego's 1970. I was born in 1969, so. I just think it's very fitting, and this whole year has just been a really great year for me, and it's just great friends, great comics, great entertainment. This is really what a way to cap off. Well, my summer's not even over yet. I'm gonna get home, and then in a week or two, I'm gonna be we're gonna spend a week at a lake, nice resort. So it's gonna be it's a great summer already. But thank you, and thank you for all the hard work you did, because I certainly appreciate it. And I speak Steve as well. He'll tell you himself, but it's a great time, and it's made all the better for all the effort you put into. And the advice you gave us, and the people we met, which we wouldn't have met but for you, and the industry parties, and just getting the snapshot of how they're a different. They have a unique kind of lifestyle, and it's interesting to sort of have just observed parts of it. But part of me, it's like to travel like they do on the con circuit. I can see how it must be exhausting for them, or even for yourself, but how they can go from con to con. Yeah. And that's so much work. I don't know if I could do that all year. That's just incredible. And, and then to see some of them talk very frankly about their ups and downs, it's hard not to feel for them. It's hard, one of the things that I know when we review, I've said before, I've gotten less. I try to be less harsh in some of my more critical reviews when I review comics, if for no other reason that when you meet these people and you realize how much of their heart and soul they pour into this stuff, it encourages me to, even if I don't like what I'm reading, there's a nice way of saying something and a not so nice way of saying something. That's how come I choose. Well, not all the time. Tom King, but no. Hey, I love most of Tom King's stuff, except not as Wonder Woman. But anyways, I do have an appreciation more for the blood, sweat, and tears that these people put into their work, and when you hear them talk about it so passionately, and the encouragement they get from each of their from the people around them, it's different. It's a unique experience. I wish everyone could experience it, especially, frankly, certain people online who are very ignorant in their negativity, ongoing, relentless negativity. If they had any idea, if they meet these people and talk to them, and you see how the sausage is made, so to speak, it gives you a different perspective on things. And so,
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And not just, and when I say meet, I don't just mean walk up to them at a table and get a comic signed. Like, spend some time talking to them. They are people, and yeah, I discovered that early on as well when I started doing interviews and what have you, and became friends with a lot of them. And that is unique. We talk about doing the con circuit. And it is another way in which San Diego is different because, again, it's such a marathon. Most comic conventions are a day or two. And, you go in, you sign, you do your appearances, and you leave. And it's 2 or 3, 4 days maybe out of your life. Man, when it's San Diego, a lot of them are getting in here Tuesday. They're here till Sunday night late or Monday, and then they got to travel back home. And then, man, you understand why they need a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 to recover, because it's a lot. It's even a lot for me, and I was talking to a creator I won't name today about this, but it's just the fact of having to be on. They want all their fans and everybody who comes to see them, because you mentioned what a time commitment is to line up and wait to see them or whatever. They want to be, make sure that fan has a good reaction, and they want to be there for their fans and what have you. And so they're on stage, they're putting their everything into it. That's exhausting, on top of the late nights and the drinking and all the walking. So yeah, it's definitely a different experience, and I agree with you. I wish everybody could experience it. It's like I wish everybody would have to wait tables for a week, so you put yourself in the other people's shoes, because that kind of job, being in the hospitality industry, it's tough. It's tough. Being a creator can be tough as well, especially considering freelance. You don't have health benefits, you don't have retirement, that sort of thing. It can be challenging. So anyways, everybody, thanks for joining us as always. Don't forget to check out our DC Spotlight every week on Rocky's channel, Comic Space Boom ! On YouTube. Make sure you're following the Comic Source on YouTube as well. Comic Source on all social media platforms. If you want to check out our podcast, thousands of previous episodes, just go to wherever you get your podcast, do a search for the Comic Source and subscribe. So this is Rocky and Jace from San Diego signing off. Time for us to get some sleep.
That's right.
Time for me to decide if I'm going to New York. Several people already bugging me, you gotta go. And I was really thinking about taking this year off of New York again, just to get some rest in this last half of the year. It's been a very busy year for me. And as far as travel goes, I was in Denver for a really short trip for work, followed up by a couple days later, my wife and daughter being in Vegas for over a week for her dance competition nationals. And they came back and they were home for 4 days, and then they left for a cruise. And then they were back for 2 days, and I left for San Diego. I haven't seen my wife and daughter very much at all in the past month and a half. So I'm looking forward to just being home with my family coming up. So, but in the midst of that, I'll still have all this content from San Diego I have to produce, all the follow-up stuff. Like, that's the thing. I come to San Diego on top of everything I've done here. I've now created all this work for myself that I need to follow up on. So the thought of going to New York right now, no way. But that might change in the next couple of weeks. We'll see. But anyway, that's going to do it for the episode, everybody. Thanks for joining us as always, and we'll talk to you next time.
Catch you later.